I do not believe that anybody will be playing that game in 2025.
Okay, welcome everyone to Joust episode 3. The time is just flying by us here. I am with my good friend Tim, and we're going to be talking about our top 7 most anticipated games of 2025. Tim, it's going to be a massive year, probably a year that's going to be spoken in the same breath as 1998, 2007, and a lot of the great ones. What do you think?
Just a ton of good stuff to look forward to, in my opinion. This is yeah, this one's been waiting a long time for one like this, so extremely excited.
If you guys missed it, our most recent episode was the Xbox Developer Direct review show that we did. And then before that, we have a video up for the Nintendo Switch 2 reaction. So hopefully you guys will check those out. In the meantime, one thing I wanted to say real quick before we get into these lists, we probably will have some games that could be honorable mentions at some point. Get into some games that could drop this year, but just are not officially announced. I have a couple for something like that. Tim, I will give you the honors to go first with your number 7 most anticipated game of 2025. What is it?
Okay, after much thought and consideration on this, I'm gonna go with Metal Gear Solid Delta. Um, just looks fantastic. The original on the PS2 is one of the best action games, in my opinion, of all time. The bosses, the setting, the story. Kind of know what you're getting with this one, but it doesn't hurt my anticipation one bit. I think this is going to be good, and I will be there day one ready.
Yeah, and I think after Silent Hill 2, a lot of fears that maybe people had as far as Konami and them meddling or getting into their development of remakes of their old games. I think Silent Hill 2 remake is kind of laid to rest a lot of those worries. I am officially much more hyped for this game because Silent Hill 2 was as good as it is, and I'm definitely looking forward to it for that reason. My number 7, I'm going to go with Avowed. That is the big, actually, Obsidian doing a ton of work this year. They have Avowed early on, so 2 huge RPG releases. Avowed next month, February, and then we have Outer Worlds 2, which is coming out. I don't know, Tim, did they give it an exact release date for that or just a fall 2025?
I don't. I'm not even sure if they gave a like a season, but you would have to think winter, fall at the earliest winter. But yeah, I don't think anything concrete.
Yeah, so Avowed, looking like a very colorful, very pretty. I was gonna say Oblivion, but we might get an Oblivion remaster at some point this year too. But no, like kind of like a Skyrim, giving you that epic fantasy RPG vibe. The first person with the third person like camera angle option. The abilities look really cool. I think the graphics look fantastic. Just Obsidian doing a ton of heavy lifting for Xbox here in kind of the mid to later part of the gen going on here now. But Avowed, looking forward to that a ton. Tim, what's your thoughts on
Oh, I definitely have it on my list. I have it much higher, so I'll probably not add too much. But for right now, anyway, you're definitely correct. Obsidian is, and this is a year that they could slow down. There's
that? Right.
Xbox is locked and loaded, so if there was ever a year that they could have taken a breath and took a step back, this would have been that year. That's not how they roll, and they're rocking. But yeah, I like I said, I got this a lot higher on my list.
I do want to add real quick, Tim, before we move on to your number 6. I wonder if the Outer Worlds 2 being in the fall maybe has an impact on something else that I might get into later on my list. I don't know if you kind of have a hint where I'm going with that.
Not reading you clear there, but
Great.
um,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I'll get into it in just a little bit, and I think you might agree with that. But
Okay.
your number 6, sir.
All right. This is the only one that has not been confirmed on my list so far, and but I'm like in the totally believe this is going to happen category. So the next 3D Mario, we know the Switch 2 is coming.
Yep.
It's time. It's been 2017 was when Mario Odyssey came out, and yeah, we need this. We need that platforming greatness. We need the next just out of the box idea that Nintendo always brings with like the big iteration of a Super Mario game. So I don't know what to expect. I couldn't even take a wild guess because it'll be wrong and they'll surprise us. But yeah, I'm just totally stoked, and it'll be the reason I get a Switch 2. And yeah, I won't regret it one bit.
Agreed. I just actually had to update my list a little bit since you mentioned that. But going forward, I am going to go with my number six is going to be Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
Yeah.
Um, this is a game that I think might be a little bit higher on your list, Tim. But I'm looking forward to Metroid Prime 4. I think that a lot of my enjoyment of this will be in what is the reception of the Switch 2? How much better is it than Switch 1? Like if this was coming out for the original Switch, it probably wouldn't even make this list. I'm kind of pumping its tires a little bit more just because I think that it coming out for the new system, I'm assuming kind of on launch day, I'll go out on a limb and assume that. But I really think that Metroid Prime 4, one, you have, is it Retro that makes these games, Tim, or do I have their name right?
Yeah, yeah, they're out of Texas. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so Retro, I mean, they are known for the recent like Donkey Kong games that we've had on Wii. They've also done, they've obviously been the developer for Metroid since the first one came out on the GameCube. I guess the remake, I guess we could call it, or the revamped version that came out for the GameCube and kind of followed through the Wii and everything. This series is a long time coming for Metroid Prime 4. We've waited a long time. I think it's cool that the Switch, a Nintendo console gets a first person shooter. That's something that it feels kind of foreign to that system at this point. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for Prime 4 and excited to see, that on a Switch 2, what that game plays like, what it looks like. And I'm sure I'll be even more excited for it once that is officially revealed.
Well, I'm glad you put it on your list because it was my number 8 game, so it just
Oh
missed
man.
the top 7 for me. I think it's going to be a cross-gen title, so I think some of the wow factor probably isn't going to be there. But I mean no disrespect. I love Metroid Prime. I just replayed the first Metroid Prime last year. I plan on playing 2 and 3 as well. Yeah, they're just so good. The
Totally.
the first person shooter aspect of it, the Metroidvania aspect of it, the worlds, the boss fights. It is a special series. They're special games, and yeah, I will definitely be ready for that.
Excellent. And I think it was you then, Tim, for your number
Yeah,
five.
yeah. Number 5, I got Fable. I
Beautiful.
I believe I believe it's coming out this year. I mean, I'm not 100% confident of that one. I could see it possibly slip in, but I kind of don't think so. I think it's coming. I think it's the big game
Yep.
for the big non-COD Call of Duty game for Microsoft this year. So I expect a blowout here in June. And the little bit that we've seen of it looks absolutely fantastic. You know what this studio can do. I mean, Forza 4, Forza 5, well, Horizon 3 through 5. This is, I expect something like Witcher 3 level quality of a game here is what I'm talking. Like Playground don't has not missed. I don't have any reason to think that they're going to miss. And yeah, this game's gonna be something.
So this kind of brings us a little bit full circle to my point about Outer Worlds. I wonder if that's dropping this fall because Fable is not dropping this fall.
I hope you're wrong. I I just yeah, I don't know. I kind of think they're gonna hit. It's yeah, you get nervous with big games like this. They've never done a game like this, but I mean they got the open world down pat. Like I'm not worried about that aspect of it, right? So it's really about the
Yep.
storytelling, the combat that they need to build upon. So I I I think I consider Horizon just an RPG that your character's a car, right? So I don't think this is as out of the wheelhouse as some people may think it is.
Right.
But yeah, but I mean, that's not to say that there isn't challenges and there's new things that they're gonna have to learn as a studio. But I just, yeah, I don't know. I think they're ready. I think this thing's coming, and I think it's gonna wow.
Definitely agree. I will have more on that later. For right now, uh, my number five game. I mean, it even hurt to do this, but this is the kind of year it is. Number five for me is Doom: The Dark Ages, and I think that we talked a lot about this in the last podcast. I'm so excited just for the fun factor. Alone, it seems to come up with new ways to have fun and to cause havoc in the best way, and I cannot wait to use that fucking saw shield and tear things to shreds and being that giant mech and everything and fly that dragon. I just think it's going to be so much damn fun, and it feels almost criminal that no, I guess not criminal, but this game's releasing in May, and it's like so cool that we get a game of that high quality and that caliber coming out in what feels like pretty early on in this year.
I completely agree, and funny you bring it up because that's my number four game, so
Perfect.
I can just perfectly jump right in here. Yeah, agree with everything you said. I think this game is, the badass level is going to be 11. The shooting, the tech, the I can't wait to play it on a PC. I just built a PC a couple months ago. This game, it's going to run just like crazy. Yeah, it's just going to be good. The some of the things I took away from the direct were, yeah, like you mentioned, the whole tank instead of kind of the shift that they mentioned from Eternal with the platforming, and that just makes an already fantastic package even better for me, and it makes me even more excited. So definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, I think the setting of like that dark medieval whatever
Oh
time
yeah.
period you would call that, it's like a perfect fit.
Yep.
It just seems like a match made in heaven. And yeah, I'm just give me that skull gun, man. I just want that gun that grinds up the skulls and shoots out the bone chips. It just looks so awesome. I yeah, that's like the coolest idea I've seen in a game for quite a while.
Very good that id has a knack for thinking up just the most disturbing weaponry, and it's the perfect fit. So at this point, we're going to get into number four and four all the way to one, and I want to kind of preface this by warning everyone that for me personally, my list is going to kind of creep into that might not happen territory, but a lot of these games are most likely slated for this year, so I did want to kind of put them there and just sort of have our our screw it kind of list and give my honest list here. And for number four for me, Resident Evil 9, I'm assuming will get shown hopefully this year and released at some point. I love that series to death. I think the revival that it's had since RE7 in 2017 has been just what that series needed, and ever since then it's been like this snowball of remakes of RE2 and RE4 and RE3 and everything, and they've just completely went from kind of floundering with RE6, and ever since they've just been on a tear with that, and with pretty much everything Capcom touches turns to gold. And Resident Evil 9, I love 7, I love 8, and I cannot wait to see how 9 sort of takes a different spin on everything, especially because if memory serves, we're going to be following a different protagonist, I believe, for Resident Evil 9. Yeah, Resident Evil 9, if it happens this year, is my number 4 on my list.
That's a good choice. I was not even that isn't even on my radar. When did 8 come out?
8, and they've been coming out at a pretty quick clip. Let me double check. I think RE8 came out in 2021, Tim.
Okay, okay. So
Four
we're
years.
talking 4 years. Okay, yeah, that's definitely feasible. And that yeah, I mean four remake came out what 2 years ago. So yeah, that seems reasonable. Yeah, well, that's a good choice. I definitely agree. If that comes out, ooh baby, that's a heavy
Just
hitter.
if that was coming out this year, Tim, and you were aware of it, like where do you think that'd land roughly on your list? Like
Ooh,
top half or bottom half of your list?
oh boy. Probably like solidly in the middle. Probably, yeah, probably like four or five, I'd
Gotcha.
say. Um, yeah, that's good. I was completely. I was not thinking that. That's an interesting. That's a good call. I did not have that on my list.
Okay.
Top three for me.
Perfect.
This game, we like my number three didn't even know it existed till last week, and then the Microsoft Dev Direct happened, and they came out just swinging, baby, and they hit us with Ninja Gaiden 4, and that is my number three pick. I already played through 2 Black. I just finished it last night. Yeah, I'm ready. This game's gonna rock. So great to have a classic foundational um, game that first started on the OG Xbox. I played it when I was in the Air Force. I remember beating the campaign, telling people there that I beat it. They didn't believe me because of how hard the game was. I showed them my game save and all that stuff just to prove that I beat it. And I love these games. I love one, love two. Like I said, I just replayed through two. I haven't played three in a while, and I three kind of had some issues. I still enjoyed it, not as much as one or two, but just what I saw from the Dev Direct, the new character, they still got Ryu in there, Platinum. This just they're the potential for me personally is off the charts. I love Platinum. If Platinum can get back to that Metal Gear Revengeance, Rising
Yep.
Revengeance, Bayonetta type quality, and then I will say one thing after playing through two, the boss fights are, I guess, in a post From Software world, the boss fights were kind of a letdown. I was
Mm.
you just kind of fight a boss. You he either like beat you or you just beat him. It's very quick. There's no like two phases. It's kind of bland. So that is something that I don't think aged as well. I didn't really remember that. So I'm hoping that they step up the boss fight part of those games just to build it out, make it a little more memorable. But I'm sure they will. I'm sure that that's going to happen. And yeah, the amount of weapons, like the amount of weapons in two, just the depth of that game. I forgot so much stuff, and they're just so good. I mean, they're just so good. And if they can get that back with four, oh man, we got something special cooking.
It's so funny that you said in a post from soft world, because I was actually going to use that same phrase to describe, this series is what Souls games used to be, right? I mean, as far as like this is what Souls games were back before Souls games were huge. Like this is the mid 2000s, early 2000s, hardcore games that people kind of boasted about beating, and that's what's so cool to kind of see Ninja Gaiden now, like, release in this day and age where it's like, okay, how is it going to sit with this modern gaming world, that game type, and is it going to hit as well as it had before, or is it going to kind of fall short of where Souls and all that is?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The difficulty level, especially of one, the game is just unforgiving. There's no the game will just kill you
Mm.
repeatedly in it, and there's no you either get good or you don't.
Yep.
With Dark Souls in particular, like I guess maybe Sekiro is a decent comparison. Dark
Ah, yeah.
Souls is a little more like slow, and there is RPG elements where there isn't really that in the Ninja Gaiden games. But yeah, to me, I hope they keep the level combat. The traversal and like the platforming isn't great, so that could be improved as well after playing through two. But the boss fights, I really hope they take a page out of. Yeah, because I mean, I was literally playing it, and I'm just like, okay, is there a second phase here? Because like you just kind of have to get the right combos going and get the flow going, and then the boss is just dead, and then that's it. And it's like,
Right.
man, there's Yeah, I'm like this isn't what like
It's not
From
what you're
changed the
conditioned
game.
for.
Yeah, yeah, From just changed the game on this, and that's going to need, I think, updated. I hope they recognize it. Surely they have. If I can pick it out,
All right, so you did your number four, and
or
then
I did my number three.
oh,
Ninja Gaiden
oh, you
4.
did three. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so my number three is one that you brought up earlier, Tim. It's a lot higher on my list, and that is Fable. I am really, really looking forward to Fable. For someone that's actually never played any of the old Fables on the Xbox or the 360, I mean, I've always loved the idea of the Horizon team, the one team that seemed like they were with Xbox during the real dark days of the Xbox One and bringing out their great games and finally getting to kind of spread their wings with Fable. Um, and just with like all the fantasy I've been reading and stuff lately, I'm ready to get kind of lost in a real big world like that, and I'm really rooting for Playground to knock it out of the park and give us something real special. And I think that they're going to. I think this is going to be a game that is not going to be a paint by the numbers RPG. I feel like Playground has a lot of creativity to kind of give to the genre, and I'm really interested and excited to see what their engine can do and what I feel like I don't know what it's going to be because we haven't seen a lot of this game yet, but I feel like they're going to put some kind of twist on the genre that is like, oh, I can't wait to try that mechanic out, or I'm really interested to see how like this side quest or like this interaction thing. I don't know what's going to be. It might be a thing where the interactions are a little bit more kind of varied and like maybe there's some kind of like um, I don't know, a cool mechanic where maybe some of the NPCs remember you or something, or there's, some kind of whatever twist that Playground puts on it. I'm super excited for, and I think that Fable is going to be, uh, th- I'll say it now. I think Fable is going to be the game that Xbox can put up there with the Last of Us of the world that PlayStation had with those kind of bigger games that was always said that Xbox their studios couldn't touch that level of quality. I think Fable is going to be the game that finally breaks them through and gets them to that level, first party studio wise anyway.
I can definitely see it. They have the pedigree. They're on a hot streak. This is definitely outside their comfort zone. But and thinking back of the past Fables, I mean, Fable 1 and Fable 2 are excellent games. They're not, I guess earlier I compared it to The Witcher, but you do have to remember they had a sense of humor. They had that
Right.
British kind of sense of humor. And another thing they were kind of known for, and this isn't probably a good thing, is Peter Molyneux was the lead of was the head of the studios that were
Yes.
making them, and he made some wild promises, most of which never came true, if I remember right. It basically became a running joke online of, he said it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Like you can plant a tree and it'll be there 20 years
Yeah.
later. Just some wild
So
stuff.
are,
So
are, are you thinking that maybe in a weird sort of twisted way this game kind of delivers on some more fantastical things that Peter Molyneux back in the day? I'm sure they're conscious of things like that with this game. I mean, wouldn't you think?
yeah, it like most of his stuff was technical, like the promise. Yeah, it was weird. And I don't I could be, this may not be all be 100% accurate, but I remember him just having some wild technical kind of vision things, which all sounded great, but then you got the game and it's like, well, it doesn't do that, doesn't do that. I'd have to look it up because that'd be an interesting kind of thing to do.
Well,
But
he showed the big like Milo Xbox Connect demo where it almost made it seem like you were speaking to this kid that kind of interacted and had like it is almost like AI chat before there was AI chat going on. It was like a voice chat thing with this like
mhm.
animated kid or whatever, which would be I'm sure that we're not super far from something like that like in RPGs, and I doubt that Fable's going to do something to that level, but it is kind of cool to think about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, the LLM models, the chat GPTs, once they get condensed down small enough and can be packaged in a game, you're definitely going to get that. That's just a matter of time. I don't know if Fable will be the one to do that
Right.
necessarily. Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what kind of direction, what they take from the original series, where they kind of veer away from it. But man, yeah, boy, is it exciting.
Our top three here, Tim. You're on to number two. What is number two for you?
Yeah, and this is a game you mentioned already, Avowed. Um,
Wow!
yeah, I love
Holy shit!
Obsidian. Yeah, I love Obsidian. It's tough, right? Because Outer Worlds 2 is already announced now, and they're
Right?
saying 2025 for that. But just the thought of them taking their RPG skills, applying it to a medieval-ish environment. And I've never played any of the Pillars games, so I wish I was a little smarter on the in the worlds, but I think those are I forget what type of RPGs they are. I kind of doubt I would
Yeah,
stick
top
with them.
down.
So yeah, yeah. So I wish I was a little more knowledgeable in the worlds and that, but hopefully they realize that there's going to be a lot of people jumping in that don't know that stuff and make it easy to jump in. But yeah, I mean the combat, the magic, the world, the colorfulness of what we've seen so far. There's so much greatness there, and I mean they're solid with their writing. What's the Honey I Shrunk the Kids games, that the Grounded,
Oh, grounded. Yep.
even that game's story was pretty good once you started digging into it. Shockingly,
Huh.
you would have guessed that, but it was. Outer Worlds had a great story. Like their South Park games are great. Yeah, they're just so good, and I'm hoping that the Xbox cash flow investment with giving them time, because I mean this game's got time, right? It was obviously supposed to at least come out last year, and
Yep.
I think there was rumors it was supposed to be out even before that. So that like this should be a tight package, and I think yeah, I'm like super excited.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can definitely see being that hype for it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I think we talked about it last episode where we wish that they had shown a little bit more of it recently, and I really haven't delved too much into like a lot of the trailers and the breakdowns and the gameplay that's been shown so far. But what I have seen looks really good, and I have little doubt that they're going to deliver on a really good fun game, and hopefully kind of that's the first one that I think in Game Pass I'm going to really dive into this year. I'm going to sink a lot of time into it. So yeah, really excited for that one. My number two, again, we're kind of assuming this is going to be this year. I think you have to think that there's a new Mario Odyssey game coming out. I mean, it's not going to be Mario Odyssey, it'll be Mario something, but we'll call it Mario Odyssey 2 for the purposes of this. I mean, I love platformers. Probably besides shooters, I would say platformers is my personal like second favorite genre of video game. Odyssey was my favorite Mario game of all time. I think that there is, the imagination with Nintendo is always off, like it's through the roof as far as like what they come up with and the unique and kind of clever game design that they have with some of the controls. You had the hat throwing last time with Mario Odyssey and being able to bounce off that and all the kind of creative stuff that they can, that they develop for every game. And I'm really excited to see what the twist is on this next Mario game. It's going to be, my most hyped thing by far whenever the Switch 2 kind of finally officially formally has their show coming up in April. And I can't wait to see what that looks like. I super hyped. I mean, I could say the same thing over and over again, but yeah, just if Mario is a thing this year, it's my number two most anticipated game.
Yeah, hard to argue with that, right? I mean, I had it, I think, number six on mine, and it's easy to drop it down a little bit when you don't really know what it is.
Yep.
But once I see it and see the angle and the theme that Nintendo went with on this one, I'm sure I'll probably be jumping for joy, and it'll be skyrocketing up my charts.
Hmm.
It's yeah, these are all like just top notch, and this game. Yeah, it's gonna be big. Oh man, is it gonna be big?
100%. All right, we have reached the moment where we talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 together, Tim. Except it's not going to be your number one.
No, no, no. I, I am excited for it. I do not believe that anybody will be playing that game in 2025. Probably, maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I don't see it. I think it's a next year game.
if
So,
if it was this
you're,
year, Tim, do you know where it would be?
oh boy, it probably would have cracked my list just for the pure wonder and skill of the
Yeah.
single player. But I'm not going to play the online. I mean, I'm just not going to get into that.
Mm.
So that's a big part for me that I won't be engaging with. Yeah, it'd be on my list. It'd probably be like, 5, 6 ish if I had to take a guess.
Cool.
But no, no, for me, and you're not going to be in agreement with this at all. But the greatest series running in video games right now,
Oh,
Like
I
a
know what it
Dragon,
is.
yeah, Like a Dragon, Pirates, Yakuza in Hawaii. So this game is going to be so awesome. You have the Yakuza Like a Dragon series. You now have Goro Majima front and center on a story just focused to him. This is a character that's been throughout the series an absolute star. They've kind of, give him a little bit of spotlight here, a little bit of spotlight there, but finally getting Majima having his own story. Throw in the ship combat, the wacky story, building off of infinite wealth. This is going to be game of the year. I mean, I don't see how anything will touch it. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. This is my most anticipated. Can't wait to play it. It's going to be so awesome, and just bring it on, baby.
I love that. I wish I was into those games because I'd probably have that on the list here myself here somewhere. But I love us kind of talking and bouncing these games off each other because I think, admittedly, I'm pretty sure me and you have pretty different tastes in things, which I just think makes it that much more interesting because I probably wouldn't have even right now. I mean, I forget that game's even coming this year sometime, which is blasphemy.
Oh, oh, that's yeah, no, I'm counting down the days. I mean, we are not far away, and I love them. I love the games. I can't wait for the cameos. It'll be interesting with the way Infinite Wealth ended. I'm wondering if they're even going to hint at kind of what happened because there's something very interesting that happened at the end of that game,
Hmm.
and yeah, oh man, yeah, just it's going to be so awesome.
That's freaking sweet. I really need to try to get back into that series when I can. I think I tried Like a Dragon and I was enjoying it, but I think maybe the beginning was a tad slow for me, and I didn't put a ton of time into it. But I'll need to jump back in because it does look interesting. I mean, I like that kind of wacky Japanese sort of aesthetic and style that those games have, and they're always very creative with their gameplay and like it's not a turn based or a turn based. Good lord, it's not a turn based RPG, is it, Tim?
Well, they turned it a turn-based with seven. So,
Ah,
Like a Dragon, like it technically was called Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, and that game was turn-based. And that's a good jumping in point if for somebody new because a new character's introduced, like a new kind of main character's introduced in that game. So that is a pretty good jumping off point. Before that, it was more of like a button masher action fighting game, which those are good, and they actually still have those. The Man with No Name still is kind of running with that style of combat. So and that's a great one too. It kind of bridges the story between 6 and 7 for the main greatest character probably in video game history. So yeah, 7 might be where you wanna jump into.
maybe I'll do that this year then, and I'll come back with my thoughts, and I'll be hyped for the next one. Yeah, I'll be real quick with this because then I kind of wanted to end on some of the bigger games, Tim, that we left off this list. I want to touch upon those just real quick. But number one for me, it's GTA 6. I'll be quick. Everyone listening to this podcast and everyone that has never heard of video games probably knows that Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming. I believe it will be this year. I think that they're just kind of biding their time. There's been some rumors that maybe there's going to be a Super Bowl trailer for it. I think that there would be no better opportune time to drop some more info on that, whether it's with a release date or what have you. But Super Bowl is going to have a ton of eyes. I think that that's a good shot of that happening. This is a game I mentioned about Fable having some groundbreaking kind of, industry pushing technology, and I think this is the game that would have something like that. It's been, in the oven for so long. They've had the ability to take their time and really kind of develop what they want this experience to be. And I will just absolutely drown in the mega hype that this game will have. I mean, it's going to be the biggest thing happening in entertainment. If it drops this year, nothing happening on the planet is going to be bigger news. No movie, no anything else, TV show, doesn't matter. This will be the biggest thing in entertainment in the last 20 years easily.
Yeah, I agree. You can't. It's a juggernaut for a reason, right? I mean, five is still going strong. It's still basically a mainstay in the top 10 charts for every system. Yeah, this is going to be something. I mean, so I guess a couple things just to, I guess, be the downer on this one is you do have to wonder with the massive success of five, like what do you do and where do you go with the game? And
Right.
and I'm going to be very interested to see what they come up with there. Like in the online, you kind of wonder like, well, okay, do you even need a new online? I know Grand Theft Auto 5 online is still huge. Can you just iterate on that? Like what, like it seems like there's going to be a jumping off point and there's like a hard cutoff between 5 and 6 here. So, it seems like a safe bet. And I mean, you would be crazy to bet against Rockstar, but there are some serious challenges that they probably is not it's not an easy task, right? It's not like following up something like that is not just a simple task.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's as long as we've waited for Half-Life 3 to come out and
Yeah,
just and mainly, just based on the fact that it's so tough to follow up a game like Half-Life 2 and all that. The hype on this is even bigger than that, and Valve won't touch Half-Life 3 with a 20-foot pole. But it's going to be really interesting. I feel like they're going to be up to the task. I think they have to. I think they will come up with some kind of new, if you want to call it a gimmick. There's going to be something to it that is that takes that next step. And I'm ready for a new Grand Theft Auto. I think the industry, video games in general, I feel like the last couple years have kind of lost a little bit of their way and their hype. Just whether it was from COVID or whatever, and game releases slowing down. And I feel like the industry needs that Grand Theft Auto shot in the arm, and I think that's what we're gonna get this year. But it could be 2026 for sure. GTA 6, 2026. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that could probably be a thing. I'm sure, but in the scenario that we are living right now, it's supposed to be this year. So we'll see. All right, that will kind of put a wrap on our top 7 games we're anticipating of 2025. Tim, this was a lot of fun.
yeah, I enjoyed it. Great year, boys. Let's get ready. It's coming.